Welcome to the HIO Show, everybody. I'm Stu Cowan over the Montreal Gazette, joined by regulars Chris Nyland, former Canadian with TSN Radio 690, columnist Jack Todd, and Andy Bennett from CBC Daybreak. Chris, 3 wins in a row for the Habs, 10th place now, 3 points out of a playoff spot. Are we going to have a playoff team here in Montreal?
I don't know. You know, I said I didn't think they're going to make it. It's a lot of ground to make up. I know they say it's only 4 points, but the pace that they have to play from now to the end is difficult. And then you got to worry what other teams are doing. So they were in a good position. They gave that away, and now they're, at the mercy of really turning their game around and being consistent night in and night out and getting really good goaltending. And they're also at the mercy of other teams.
And there's such a dogfight with so many teams in it. And one team's going to get hot like Ottawa did last year, I'm sure. Canadiens fans are hoping it's them. The sportsclubstats.com has them as an 18% chance of making the playoffs.
You know, I tell you, the first thing, saying anything about this team is going to be proved completely wrong tomorrow, so don't email me, okay? But I wouldn't be surprised if they win every freaking game the rest of the way and win the Stanley Cup, and I would not be surprised if they lost every game the rest of the way. A team that can morph like they did, that stat you had about the first 26 and then the next 26, that's like, you know, you're looking at the Golden Seals from 1971 versus the 1976 Habs. It makes no sense.
Well, they were on pace for like the Washington Capitals expansion team there for a while.
Well, it is so true, though. Like Chris says, that 4 points, it's a lot more than 4 points. I mean, it's so misleading when you look at the standings. You're like, oh, they're right in there. But really, I mean, unless another team has an absolute collapse, the Canadiens are, if they make the playoffs, are just going to be falling ass backwards into the postseason. So not a great position to be in when you head into the playoffs. And then you're wondering, what are they going to do? Are they going to try and push Carey Price at that point if they make it into the playoffs? Because there's that old adage, anything can happen. I don't know. It just seems so difficult when you look at the points total that you have to hit at, that early 90s, mid 90s. That's a lot of ground to cover.
Well, I spoke with your buddy Serge Savard yesterday. He was saying he hasn't given up. He said in 93, nobody thought we were going to win the Cup. In 72, nobody thought they were going to come back to win the Summit Series. The thing that got me in the game against Tampa Bay the other night is that finally somebody on the Canadiens got mad. During this slump of waiting for somebody to get mad, Nathan Beaulieu, healthy scratch for 2 games, obviously upset, comes in, drops the glove with Cedric Paquette. I've never seen anybody shatter a guy's visor in a fight before, but was that, the players in the room afterwards were saying that gave them a boost. Chris, just your thoughts.
Yeah, it certainly does. I mean, you know, to have a guy go out there and stick up for a teammate like he did, it was Lazzella who was taking a cheap shot, and he took umbrage to it. And was he mad? Yeah, he'd been mad for a couple days, and that's a good thing. Listen, I have nothing but good things to say about that kid as far as what he's done on the ice with the Canadiens in that respect. Now, he's made some mistakes like young players are going to make, but he's certainly a kid that bodes well for the future here. He's going to have his growing pains, but I love the way that he stands up for his teammates, and he's there. You know, we saw that in Philly with Ratko Gudas. No one did anything. The poor kid Alessio gets, submarined, and no one does anything. It's like no one cares. And he comes in last night and does that. I know that gave that team a boost and made them feel better about themselves. And I just wish we had another guy up front that could do something like that.
Does it have to be fighting, though? I mean, you can stand up for your teammate with some heavy play or cross-check, or I don't know. I'm just maybe, so, yeah. But and I'm not advocating dirty play.
Well, if you were American, you'd vote for Bernie Sanders too.
I absolutely. I'm
does it have to be fighting? Come on.
Don't like.
I thought the best thing I saw last night in the NHL was Evander Kane fighting that other guy 3 times in a game. That's what fighting's for. 2 guys are so fed up with each other, or someone cheap shots a teammate, you go and stick up for him. I think that's the good fight. Those other fights are stupid.
I have more time for that kind of fight than, maybe I missed the slight to Lars Eller last night, but I didn't think it was that egregious. And it was early in the game. I didn't really think it did much for, the building wasn't that excited about a fight. I didn't really see it that the team was that excited about it. You hear them all saying the right things afterwards. Oh, he stood up for his teammates. He's courageous because he dropped the gloves. I'm kind of tired of it.
I don't even think it's a fight. Is that just somebody get mad? Like break a stick.
Show some emotion. I'm all for emotion.
Come and defend Brendan Gallagher when he's getting the crap beat out of him in front of the net. I just think it was time. Even the coach going to rant. I think the team just needed somebody to get as angry as the fans who are paying a lot of money to sit in the stands.
And guys know what they know what that feels like when they see a guy do what he does on the ice. Regardless of they say the right things or not, they feel those things, and that's more important. They felt good after that, and they went out and played, and that's the key. You know, my whole worry about last night was all the giveaways. I mean, so many giveaways, and if they keep playing like that, giving the puck like they did.
But why do they
forget about the playoffs?
Why can they not enter the zone well? I don't understand the dumping the puck when you don't have to and then losing possession. They do over and over and over again.
But every team has a problem. You guys are lined up at the blue line.
Yeah,
it's not easy.
It's hard to get through the zone when you got 5 guys, the size of them, standing outside the blue line and between the red line. I mean, Bobby Orr couldn't get through there.
I don't know about that one.
Gretzky couldn't get through there, and they couldn't. It's not. It's a big logjam through the neutral zone there. A lot of teams do it in the NHL. That's how you take speed away. You force teams like that to dump the puck because that's what you want them to do. You want them to dump it because you can beat them down low because they don't have the size or the battle in them to do it. Some lines do, and they'll do okay. But once it gets physical down low, those smaller guys end up losing those battles, and the puck goes the other way.
And coaches coach defense. Speaking of smaller guys, we'll be back after a short break, and we'll talk about David Desharnais. Welcome back, everybody. Jack David Desharnais is one of Canadiens fans' favorite whipping boy. They have a lot of ammunition right now. No points in his last 7 games. He played 17 minutes against the Lightning, had 0 points, has 3 points in his last 14 games. What do you do with this guy?
You know, how can you do anything when you're running a Pee Wee AA locker room where the star gets to decide who his centerman's going to be? This is the part that bothers me. It's so juvenile, you know. I remember we were doing this stuff in high school, you know. Hey, coach, I want to cover him. Oh, okay, you know. Like, come on. Is this the NHL or the minors? It's silly. And, you know, you look at that line, that whole alleged first line averaged 2 or 3 minutes more than the alleged second line with Plekanec, which is tearing up the league. Why? He keeps throwing them out there. And, you know, they were as near to just being completely invisible against Tampa as you can get, and they're still there. Yeah, you get tired of hearing people rag on Desharnais after a while, but it's Therrien's fault for putting him in a job that he doesn't deserve.
Well, that relationship reminds me of like an Atom hockey team with the coach's kid, right? The coach's kid plays the power play, the coach's kid gets all the ice time.
Exactly.
To be fair, they have had a lot of success in the past playing together, Desharnais and Pacioretty. It's not like these guys have not produced when they're together. I mean, they've played well together in the past. And Desharnais, if you talk to a lot of the wingers, they love having him as a centerman. I mean, the guy can feed a pass tape to tape. He is an unbelievable playmaker. But yeah, you know, sometimes he doesn't always have the hands in front of the net. And do I think he's a top line centerman? Look, maybe it would be better for him to be playing on the second line, the third line even. I think he's been really good with Weiss as well, playing alongside Weiss sometimes. But, I mean, let's not ignore the fact that him and Pacioretty have had a lot of success in the past.
But he had a brutal giveaway in the first period against Tampa, and I thought
one
maybe
giveaway in a game. Come on.
Yeah, I didn't. He came back with him. Listen, what I don't like about that line, Dale Weiss, doesn't hit. He goes out last night and tiptoes through the tulips the first period, doesn't bump into anybody. And another thing I don't like about it is the fact that they stretch Pacioretty all the time. I think it's ridiculous. They stretch the left winger. It's Pacioretty. Here's a guy with speed, big, strong guy, should be coming back into the defensive zone, curling with support from Desharnais in the defenseman, coming up the ice together. So he's coming with speed. Use his speed. He's getting the puck up there. You know what he does? They stretch past it, and he tips it in the zone. He's got to be coming up and be in a position to be available to get the puck and use his speed wide. That's why we hardly ever see him go wide. People always complain he doesn't go wide. Well, he's always getting the puck in a position where you can't gather enough speed to get wide half the time. So I'd rather see that line go back into the zone and come up the ice together. And if you want to stretch someone, stretch Dale Weiss. It's just a decoy and a guy who dumps the puck in. So let Dale Weiss do that.
The one line that really is working right now is Galchenyuk, Plekanec, and Gallagher. They had 6 points the other night. They had they were combined +3, and Galchenyuk on the wing is looking. Okay.
Yeah, to me, he looks much better there. When he's over there, he's not trying to stick handle through 5 guys. I keep seeing the fans say he's got to be at center. He's got to be at center. Well, why? This is working really well. You got one thing working finally after 25 games when nothing was working. You have something going. Don't mess with it.
Come on, Jack. We need more out of you.
Well, Thomas Plekanec also, he's got 3 goals and 4 assists in his last 3 games. He's got that contract extension he signed earlier this year, 2 more years at $6 million. Heading into the trade deadline, Andy, is it time to shop him
welcome to
around?
the season, Thomas Plekanec. I mean, that has been so great to see him producing finally. He is one of those guys that during that slump was not getting it done. He's supposed to be a leader on these teams. One of the guys who, as PK Subban would say, is paid to score goals. So I think it's been great to see him come alive. Is it because he's playing with different line mates? There's so many factors that go into a player producing. It's so hard to say if it's the line mates, if it's what's going on in his personal life, it could be any number of things. But is it the contract? All I could say is that I'm happy to see him doing it, especially when he's scoring a beautiful goal like that one against Tampa Bay where he had. I mean, that angle was closing quick, and he still managed to
But at the same time, if you can deal him as a rental somewhere, I think
you'd be happy to see him go?
No, he's actually, Plekanec has been one of my favorite players since he came here. I've always liked the guy. I like his game, the two-way nature of his game and stuff. He's not a natural number 1 center, but, given the size of that contract, and given where they are in the standings, if you're still pretending you're going to win a Stanley Cup, I guess you hold on to him, but that's not going to happen. So if the offer is good enough, I would make the deal.
Do you listen to offers for him?
You listen to anything that's going to make your team better, no matter who the player is. I'm sure Bergevin's doing that. We'll see what happens. I hate getting in all the trade rumor and crap. I just... when it happens, it happens. I'll comment on it then.
One player who has made them a better team is Ben Scrivens, of all people.
Oh, man.
I mean, it looked like they were throwing him to the Wolves when they put him up against Edmonton. He comes in, he wins 3 straight games. He's got his save percentage up to .912, his goals against average at 2.72. And somebody's mentioned that maybe Stefan Wade effect, but I think Stefan Wade, as a goalie coach, looks at Scrivens and scratches his head and goes, Tabarnouche, what's this guy doing out there? He's like, I've referred, he's almost like a ball hockey goalie.
Yeah, you can't... I think it's a bit like, it reminds me of Hasek, who is obviously a much better goalie, but just a guy where you just throw up your hands and say, he's stopping the puck, so let's not question it. To me, he was the first star of all 3 games, as good as Plekanec was, because he made those key saves that they haven't been getting from Condon. There were 3 or 4 times, especially the first of the 3 games, that first period, they could have been down 3-0 to Edmonton. Mm-hmm. But he made the saves. Then the team starts picking up steam. That's, Condon didn't play badly, but he wasn't making those same saves.
And at key times.
Such a difference.
Saves at key times. And this is a team that's so used to playing in front of Carey Price. That's something that gets them going, that gets them moving. But Scrivens, I just find it funny that people are surprised. I mean, this is what he does, right? With the Kings, he came in when Quick went down, and he had a good stretch of games. With the Oilers, he had an amazing stretch of, I think, 20 games with that big shutout. But is he a consistency guy? That's what the concern is when you look at how many games they have left and if they manage to get into the playoffs.
We're going back to the Nathan Beaulieu, this fight the other night. Chris, what's the hardest punch you ever hit someone with? Do you remember? Is the one that stands out?
O'Reilly, when I cut him open pretty bad, I couldn't hold my hand for like a week. I couldn't close my glove. Knocked Bauer once in Hartford. But that kid, like I said, technically he looked pretty good last night fighting. The only thing I would probably correct there is try and grab the guy here in the middle of the arm instead of his jersey, because you got to take away the guy's strength. Obviously, his strength is his right hand, and most guys are righties. You don't know who the lefties are, but you got to really kind of play a little bit of defense before you get going, because you can leave yourself open too.
And you were a lefty. You surprised a few people.
Well, that was the stun gun, was the lefty. I only took it out once in a while.
That's it for this week's show. We'll talk to you all again next week.